Hi and welcome to this course, Build a Complete Burger King-like website using PHP. My name is Mustafa Alawi. I'm a software developer and entrepreneur with several years of experience. I have taught more than 3,000 students online and offline several courses in web development, software development, and entrepreneurship, and I have worked as a consultant on various projects helping local businesses. In this course, you will learn how to build a complete Burger King-like website using PHP, and you will be taught everything from the very beginning all the way to allowing your customers to pay and you deliver food to your customers. You will be taught how to add meals to your website, how to get meals from the database, how to display the menu to your customers, how to allow customers to add meals to their cart, and how to increase and decrease the quantity of the meals that they want to buy from you. And you will also be taught how to allow customers to check out using a form that will allow them to check out, and you as the owner of the website and the business, you will know who bought from you, and you will be ready to deliver the food to your customers. You will also be taught how to integrate PayPal so that your customers will be able to pay you using PayPal. And all of this will be taught in this course to make sure that you build a complete e-commerce website just like Burger King. So by the end of this course, you will have created a complete fast food website just like Burger King, and you will have all of the skills required to build the website, and you will actually have built one by the end of this course. Before you decide whether you should take this course or not, you need to know who is this course for. And I'm going to be helping you in this decision-making process by providing you with the groups that should take this course. So the groups that should take this course are: first, developers who want to specialize in building e-commerce websites. If you really want to build a complete e-commerce website, and you want to specialize in building e-commerce websites, then this course is for you. Because in this course, I'm going to teach you all of the skills required to build a complete e-commerce website. The second group is programmers who want to become professional PHP developers. If you really want to become a professional PHP developer, then this is your opportunity, because you will build a real just like a website just like Burger King, where your customers will be able to browse the menu and pay you using PayPal. So you will be taught the skills required to build a complete e-commerce website, and those skills are very, very important if you really want to become a professional PHP developer. What is expected after taking this course? Well, after taking this course, first of all, you will have robust understanding of an e-commerce website and its structure. Second, you will have created a complete Burger King-like website using PHP. Third, you will have learned important and new skills. And finally, you will be able to apply for PHP web developer positions confidently with a proven experience, which is the project that you will be building with me throughout this course. If you have any questions about this course, let me know and I'll be glad to answer it. You can contact me on my website, commoncode.com. So what tools do you need for this course? Well, for this course you need, first of all, you need a reliable IDE or text editor. And my recommendation is that you install Visual Studio Code, where you can install it from code.visualstudio.com. You can head on over to that link, code.visualstudio.com, and then install it. For Mac, it's gonna say here download for Mac, and you can just click on this and install it as if you are installing any Mac program on your Mac. If you are using Windows, you can select it from here and it's gonna say here download for Windows by default, or you can click here if it doesn't say that, and you can select your Windows. Here you can select Windows and download the version from here, and you can also install, and you should also install it as if you are installing a program on your Windows. So this is the first thing. And if you already have a reliable text editor or IDE that you feel comfortable coding with, then you don't need to install Visual Studio Code. But if you don't, I'd recommend using Visual Studio Code. So this is the first thing that you need. The second thing that you need is that you need to install Xampp. Xampp is gonna allow you to install PHP in order to use PHP for this course. And you can install it from apachefriends.org. You can head on over to apachefriends.org. And I'll be showing you how to completely install Xampp on Mac and also on Windows in the next tutorials. apachefriends.org, you will be able to install Xampp, where you can install PHP and the Apache server and also MySQL database. And you can download the Xampp application depending upon your operating system. So I'm going to click here on click here for other versions and choose your operating system. And I'm going to choose Xampp for Mac, and the version is going to be 7.2. So this one, I'm going to download this one. Click on download. And once it's finished, you can now open the installer. And the process is very, very simple and straightforward. For all operating systems, you can just click on a few nexts and it will install Xampp for you. So if you are using Mac, then you can follow along. If you are using another operating system, then the process is very, very similar and self-explanatory. And it might ask you for your PC or Mac password, so you need to type it. And it will open a wizard where you can just click on a few nexts and it will install Xampp for you. So here, once here it opens this wizard, click on next, and then make sure you check these two and click on next. And then here it says that it will be installed, Xampp will be installed inside applications/Xampp folder. Click on next. And you can check or uncheck this if you wish to learn more about Xampp. And then finally, just click on next and it will start downloading. Finally, once it's finished, you will find that Xampp has been installed in your applications. So as you can see here, I have Xampp, and these are all of the files. In order to use PHP version 7, you need to head on over to your terminal and make sure that you are using PHP version 7. So here I'm going to type PHP and then version version or V, and here it says 7.2. And if it doesn't say here PHP 7.2, then you need to make sure that you add Xampp to your path. And in order to do so, just open your bash profile. And inside bash profile, make sure to add these two lines at the end of the file. Path equals to /applications/Xampp, all capital letters, and then /Xampp files, /bin, and then colon, and then $path, and then export that path. So these two lines are very important in case your Mac is using PHP version other than 7.2. So make sure you add these two lines in your .bash profile and then save. Make sure that you save. After that, click on save. And of course, you need to close the terminal and open a new terminal. And make sure that you are now using PHP version 7. So once Xampp is installed, you will find it among your applications. So if I click on this manager, it will open it for me, and it might ask you for your PC or Mac password. And then I'll go to manage servers, and first of all you need to run the Apache web server. Click on start and wait until here it says running. And once here it says running, you can start your MySQL database. Click on check it or click on it and then click on start. Once here it says running, you will be able to work with the Apache web server and your MySQL database. And by the way, if it forcefully goes back to stopped, either the Apache web server or the MySQL database, then you might need to restart your PC or your Mac. Once these two are running, go to welcome and then head on over to go to application and click on it. And it will open the localhost. And here in the localhost, you can check information about your PHP installation and your database as well. So if I go to PHP My Admin, it will open PHP My Admin where I can manage my databases and tables and do operations on them. And by the way, whenever you are working, just keep the Apache web server open and running, and also the MySQL database running all the time, because otherwise you won't be able to work with the database and insert data and get data and all of that good stuff. First of all, to download PHP, we are going to download Xampp. So click Xampp inside Google, and now you have this website apacheprints.org. Click on it. And now you have all the downloads for all the operating systems available. Click on the one that you are using. I'm using Windows, so I'm gonna click on Windows, and here it says the version of PHP. It's 7.2. Click on it, and it's gonna start downloading. And after it's finished, what you need to do is just click a few nexts, and you are good to go. And this is here a short video that tells you how to do so. It's just a few nexts. It's not difficult at all. I'm going to stop here downloading because I already installed it. So after installation, you should find it here. As you can see, I already have it. So if you click on if you search after installation for Xampp, you have the control panel. Click on it, and you have this panel. And the one that we are going to use is the Apache, the server, so that we make our computer as a server. You need to click on Start, and the MySQL as well, so that we can use MySQL. You need also to click on Start. So in order to add PHP to your environment, first of all, you need to open the environment variables from your start menu and then click on environment variables. And then scroll in the system variables and then select path and open the path. And then here you should find that you have Xampp PHP. You should have /Xampp /PHP. If you don't, you need to click on new and then you need to add it. You need to add C and then colon /Xampp /PHP. And once you have done that, all you need to do is that you need to click on OK and then OK. This is gonna add PHP to your path where you will be able to use PHP from any location in your Windows 10. Now, if you open the CMD and type PHP -v, it's gonna work. And here, if you open the terminal in Visual Studio Code and just type PHP -v, it's gonna print out the PHP and it's gonna here tell you that PHP exists. So this is how you can add PHP to your path in Windows. Welcome back. So now it's time to start working on the project. So the first step is that I'm going to create our project folder. So to create the project folder, you need to create it in your location where it's easy for you to access. So I'm going to create it on my desktop because it's easy for me to access. So on my desktop here, on my desktop, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to here right click, and then I'm going to create a new folder, and then I'm going to name it. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name my project. I'm going to name it PHP underscore project. You can name it whatever you want, but it's important to give it a name that is meaningful. So I'm gonna name it PHP project, and then I'm gonna hit enter, and now I have this folder. Now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna drag this folder and drop it onto my Visual Studio Code, and it will be opened in Visual Studio Code. As you can see, the project is now opened in Visual Studio Code. Now we can start working on the project. Now this is the folder, is called PHP underscore project. So it's an empty folder. It's just an empty folder, and this is the starting point. Welcome back. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to incorporate this template into my website. And since this is not an HTML and CSS course, I'm not going to create the template from scratch. I'm not going to create the CSS and HTML code from scratch. And I'm going to leave this template for you so that you can use it as well. If you want to use your own template, that's fine. But I recommend using this template because I want you to follow along and understand the process completely before you move on and use your own template. So let me show you how you can incorporate this template into your project. First, we need to open the template as well as the project side by side. So on the right side I have the template, and on the left side I have the project. The project, as you can see, it's empty. The project is empty. Now this is the template. What we need to do is that we need to copy all of these files and paste them in our project, or we can drag and drop. So we can drag all of these, drag them like this, or we can copy and paste. If you drag all of them and paste them here, the problem is that they will be moved permanently from the template to the project, and you will no longer be able to use the template if you want to use it for another project or something. Therefore, I'm going to copy all of them. I'm going to copy, and then copy, and then I'm going to paste them here in my project. And now I have all of these files in my project. Now I can use this for my project. As you can see here, you'll find all of them in my project. Welcome back. Now it's time to work on the back-end side. And the first step is that we need to convert our files into PHP, because this way we will be able to connect to the database, we will be able to do pretty much everything. So the first step is that you need to learn how to run your files in the browser, because from now on we will be using the server, and these files we will not be able to run these files on the server unless we convert them into PHP and unless we open up the server. So the first step is that you need to open up Xampp, and then you need to click on Manage Servers, and then you need to make sure that your Apache web server is up and running. You need to click on it, and then you need to start the server. And you also need to click on MySQL, and then you need to click on Start. And you need to make sure that they are up and running, so you need to wait until this says running. So here it says starting, and here it says running. So now both say here running. So make sure that your Apache web server as well as MySQL database both running. This is the first step. The second step is that we need to convert the index into PHP. So I'm going to rename this index. I'm going to rename this, and then I'm going to say index.php, and then I'm going to hit enter. Therefore, in order to run this in the browser, in order to run this file index.php in the browser, we need to use the server. We need to use Xampp, or the Apache, I should say, the Apache web server. So to use the Apache web server, you need to open up the terminal here. I'm going to click on View and then Terminal, which is the built-in terminal in Visual Studio Code. You can use the external terminal if you want, but I recommend using the built-in terminal so that you don't go back and forth between different windows. So in this terminal, what you need to do is that you need to type the following command, and you need to be very, very careful, because if you type this wrong, it's not gonna work. You need to type here PHP, and then space, and then minus, and then capital S, and then space, and then local host, and then colon, and then 8,000, which is the port. The port can be any number, but usually it's 8,000. So again, this command is php space and then minus capital S and then space and then localhost colon 8,000 and then hit enter. And once you hit enter, it's gonna say here development server, this server started. It says here started. All you need to do now is that you need to copy this URL, which is localhost, which is http // localhost 8000. You need to copy it, and then you need to head on over to the browser, and then you need to paste it. Just paste this. Again, that's localhost and then 8000, and then hit enter. And once you hit enter, guess what? Once you hit enter, the page will run. So as you can see now, it's gonna get the HTML code here. So as you can see, it will return the template, and the template will be displayed in the browser, which means that the server returned HTML and CSS code and now is being displayed in the browser, because now our project is running on the local server. So this is how you can run your template, your HTML and CSS on the local server using this technique. It's very important to know that you always have to keep your PHP server up and running as long as we are working on the project. If you don't run the server, the project will not run in the browser. So you need to make sure always that your server is up and running. And if it's not, you need to use the PHP and then minus S and then minus capital S and then localhost colon 8000. And also make sure that your Apache web server and the database both are up and running, because if they aren't, also your project will not work. So always make sure that these are up and running as long as we are working on the project. Welcome back. Now it's time to create the database. And in order to create the database, the first step is that you need to make sure that your Apache web server as well as your MySQL database both running. Make sure that they are up and running. And then you need to head on over to the browser, and then you need to type localhost / dashboard. And this is going to take you to the Apache web server, and you will be able to create a database. After you go to this address, localhost / dashboard, you can click on phpMyAdmin. And here you can create a database. Let's create a database. In order to create a database, you need to click on New here on the left upper side of the website. So here I'm going to click on New, and this is going to allow you to type the name of the database. So here I'm going to type the name of the database. I'm going to name it PHP project. So here I'm going to say PHP_project, and then I'm going to click on create. After you click on create, you will find that on the left side a database has been created, and its name is PHP_project. So make sure that it has been created, and if you click on it, it will just here display no tables found in this database, because there are no tables, but the database has been created. Welcome back. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add the tables that we need to the database. So remember the database that I created, which is PHP project, PHP_project. So in order to create the tables, you have two options. The first option is to type the name of the table, and then manually you need to type the name of columns and specify all of these things manually, or you can use SQL. So I have here this code that will allow me to create these tables quickly without the need of typing everything. So for example, I have here the products table, which will have the product ID, the product name, the category, etc. We have also orders, order items, users, all of these things. So instead of typing all of these and creating all of these tables manually, I'm gonna copy this code, and then I'm gonna paste it in the SQL. You need to select first your database, this database, PHP project, and then click on SQL, and then you need to paste the code here. You need to paste that code here, and then click on Go, and this is going to insert these tables. So as you can see, the products table has ID, name, category, description, etc. So this is how you can create a table quickly by using SQL. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to connect to the database. And to connect to the database, we need to establish that connection by creating a PHP code that would connect to the database. And to do that, I'm going to create a new file here called connection.php. And then inside that file, we need to establish the connection. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say here PHP, and then inside that code, here inside that PHP script, what we want is that we need to create a variable here called con with double n, and then it's going to be equal to mysqli underscore connect. So this function is going to allow you to connect to the database. So this function takes 4 parameters. The first parameter is the host name. So the host name is localhost. You can check the database credentials if you go to localhost/phpMyAdmin. Again, you need to make sure that your Apache web server and MySQL database both up and running so that you can access the localhost phpMyAdmin from your browser. So you can click on user accounts, and in the user accounts you will find the credentials that you can use. So the one that I'm using and the one that I recommend using is root, localhost, and the password is nothing, and the global privileges is all privileges. So this is the one that I'm going to be using. Again, the host name is localhost, the username is root, the password is nothing. The global privileges is all privileges. So let's use these. Here, the first parameter is the host name, which is localhost. And you need to make sure that the spelling is correct. The second is the username. So the username is root. The third is the password. So the password is nothing. So we pass here empty quotes, and then comma. The last parameter is the database. So the database is database. Remember, the name of the database is php underscore project. Again, that's php underscore project. So here I'm going to say php underscore project, and then after that we need to say, or in a new line I'm going to say or die, and then inside that die we need to type a message in case we couldn't connect to the database. So we need to say here could not connect to database. So let me explain this code one more time. This code, whenever we use this code, and we will be using this code a lot, this file, whenever we use this file is going to try to connect to the database using this credential. It's going to try to connect using the localhost and the root and it's going to try to connect to the php underscore project database. If it connects successfully to the database, then we can continue. If we couldn't connect to the database for some reason, it will die, it will stop executing any PHP code below it, and it will display this error message. It will say couldn't connect to database. Pretty simple and straightforward. Lastly, you just need to click on File and then Save All, and we are good to go. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to learn how to insert data into our database. So the first step is that we need to open the Apache web server and MySQL. You need to open Xampp and make sure that your Apache web server as well as MySQL both are up and running here. And then you need to head on over to your browser and just type localhost/dashboard. This is gonna take you to the Apache web server, and then you will be able to open the database. Let me open up the database by clicking on phpMyAdmin, and then we need to open the database PHP project, and then we need to insert products in the products table. So I'm going to click on the products table, and then I'm going to click on insert. Now, in order to insert products, we need to fill out this form. However, we need to be careful with every single field we have. So the first field is the ID, product ID. The product ID you need to leave it empty because the product ID is given automatically by the database. The database will automatically give and assign a number to any product you insert into the database. The second thing that we need to insert is the product name. So the product name here, I'm going to say, for example, I have this product, I have this, and I think this is cheeseburger, chicken cheeseburger. Cheeseburger. The product description, you need to type the description. So the description is in this case, the description is the content of the meal. So for example, I'm going to say here, chicken cheeseburger served with Coca-Cola and fries. Let me type also here, I'm going to say freshly prepared. We also have the product category, and we have the product type. So the category and the type depend upon how you categorize your products. So it's not going to be, there is no specific way to categorize your products. It depends upon how you want to categorize your products. So for me, I'm going to say for the product, for the category here, the category, I'm going to say here chicken, because this is chicken. I'm going to say chicken. For the product type, I'm going to say meal, because this is not just a sandwich, this is a meal. Here, as you can see, I said served with Coca-Cola and fries. Product image, this is very, very important. So the product image is the image that you want to assign to this product. So I have this image, I have this image. So what is the name of this image? The name of this image is P7JPEG, P7.jpg. Therefore here we need to say P7.jpg, P7.jpg. However, this is not enough. We need to move the image, we need to move this image over to our project. So I'm going to open my project. This is my project. I'm going to open my project, and then I'm going to open the assets, and then I'm going to open the images. And in the images, we need to drag and drop this image. So I'm going to drag, let me show you. I'm going to drag this image and drop it onto here, this folder, and now the image has been inserted. As you can see here, the image name is p7.jpg. Now it has been inserted into my project. So you need to follow these steps. First, you need to give a name to your image and type the name in the database. And then the second step is that you need to insert the image into the images folder of the assets. Next, we have the product price. So the price here, let's say $39.99. Special offer. The special offer is the offer that you want to give to this actually it's the sale price. So it's, for example, if you are offering a discount, you can say instead of $39.99 you can say $29.99. This could be your sale price, the special offer. So the special offer is the discounted price. So this is the original price and this is the discounted price. However, if you don't want to offer any discounted price, you need to say here 0. This means that there is no discount here. There is no discount, or you can even say null. It's better to say null actually. It's better to say null here, null. However, in order to say null, we need to edit something in the database. I'm going to fix this shortly. Now let me click on go, and this is going to insert it into the database. Now if you click on browse, you will find that we have here the one product here, chicken cheeseburger, and the everything has been inserted. We need to fix the product special offer. So for the special offer, I'm going to say null here. I'm going to say change, and I'm going to first say it's decimal. I'm going to make sure that it's decimal. Decimal 62. and the value, the default is null. So make sure that the default is null. So now the default is going to be null. Now here I'm going to say null. I'm going to change this to null. I'm going to check this. If you check this, it means null. Null means that you aren't providing a special offer. Pretty simple. So now we have this first product, and we need to insert new products. And what we need to do now is that we need to insert at least 8 to 10 products. And in order to be able to continue working on the project, we need to have at least 10 products. Therefore, I want you to click on Insert and start inserting products. And you will find so many images. I have already included so many images in this images folder. I have already included these images. You can use these images to create new products. And if you want ideas, you can head on over to Burger King's website. If you search Google in Google, just Google Burger King, and you will find so many meals you can use. You can get ideas for your meals, for the meals that you want to insert. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to stop right here, and then I'm going to pause, and then I'm going to insert so many meals, and then I'm going to come back to you. And I want you to do the same exact thing because we want to insert as many meals as we can. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to get the products from the database. So we need to create a script that would get the products that we created and insert it into the database from the database in order to use them in our application. So we need here to click on plus, and then we need to say get underscore products.php. Now in this get, let me here say get products.php. So in this get products.php, the first step is that we need to connect to the database. And to connect to the database, we need to include the connection here. So in the get products, the first step is that we need to say here PHP, and then in the first line is going to be include, and then we need to include the connection.php. This is very, very important. The connection.php, when you include this here, it means that you are kind of copied the code from the connection and paste it here. This is exactly what this include does. It copies the code from this file and it pastes that code here. So this is the first step. The second step is that we need to get all products from the database, and that can be done using MySQL. So I'm going to create a new variable called stmt, which stands for statement, which is going to be equal to con. This con now refers to this variable con, because we included the connection here, which means that we can use that variable here. So we say con, and then we use a function called prepare, and then inside that prepare we type the SQL code. So we need to say select. What do we want to select? We want to select all, asterisk, which means all, from products, which is the name of the table. So the name of the table is products, from products, and that's it. We want to select all from products. Pretty simple and straightforward. Then we need to execute this code. So to execute this code, we just need to say statement and then execute. And finally, we need to create a new variable. Finally, we need to get the data, so we need to say statement, and then we need to say get result. And then we need to store the result in a variable called, let's say, products. So this get result would return, this is going to return an array with all of the products in a form of objects. So it's going to return an array of objects where each single object represents a product. Pretty simple. Now let me click on File and then Save All. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to display the products, and to display the products we need to convert the products page from products.html to products.php. So I'm going to rename this products, I'm going to rename the file, I'm going to say products.php. Now in the browser, if I say / and then products.php, now I will get all of the products, but these products are not the real products. These products are hard-coded. If you open the products.php, you'll find that these products are just HTML code. They are just HTML code, not real products from the database. As you can see here, you'll find that these products are just HTML. So we need to get the real products. To get the real products, we need to use the get products.php. So the first step is that we need to remove these products from here because, as I told you again, these are HTML code, not real products. So what I'm going to do is that in the products.php, I'm going to remove all of these products. So I'm going to start by closing these, minimizing the code so that I can remove them easily. I'm going to remove all of them. So I'm going to remove this, and this, and I'm going to keep only one. So I'm going to remove all of them, and then I'm going to keep one. The reason why I'm going to keep one is because we need to use one in order to generate the code for the real products. Let me save now. Let me show you what's going to happen now. We will have only one product here. We have one product. So we need now to loop over the products. So to loop over the products, we need to import the get products.php. So here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say PHP, and then include, and then what I'm going to include is that I'm going to include the get dot products get underscore products dot php, and then I'm going to say here Foreach PHP, Foreach products as product. And then I'm going to open only one curly bracket. And then I'm going to close here PHP. And then at the end, I'm going to say PHP, and then I'm going to close the curly bracket. Now, in between, we need to use this product to display the products. So in between here, we need to remove the image. For example, here, for the image, we need to say assets / images / p1.jpg. We need to remove this p1, and then instead we need to say dot, and then php. Without dot, actually, we don't need the dot, we just need to say PHP. And then we need here to say, let me reopen it, I have a problem. So here, in this image, we need to say PHP, and then echo, and then what we need to echo is that we need to echo the product image, product underscore image, and then semicolon. For the name, the product name, we need to remove this, and instead we need to say PHP, and then echo, and then we need to echo the product, and then product name underscore name. For the description, we need to remove this. And then we need to say PHP, and then echo, and then again product description, product underscore description. For the price, we need to do the same thing. We need to say PHP, and then echo product price. For the price, product price, product price, and that's it. Now we are done. Let me now save everything and let's test. Now if I save and refresh, guess what? As you can see, I'm going to get the real products. Here I'm going to get, for example, chicken cheeseburger, and here I'm going to get Big Mac double quarter with cheese. And if you want to verify, you can open the database. If you open the database, you'll find that the first product is a chicken cheeseburger, and here the first product is chicken cheeseburger. The second here is Big Mac, and the second is Big Mac. So that's correct. So it's working perfectly, and now we got all of the products and they are being displayed here. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the single product page. So the first step is that I'm going to convert the single product page from singleproduct.html to singleproduct.php. I'm going to rename this, and then I'm going to say singleproduct.php. Now in the single product, if you open it, you'll find, if you say here single underscore product.php and hit enter, you will get this single product. However, this is not a product that we got. We need to get any product we click on. For example, if I click on this, I want to display this in a single page. To do this, we need first here in the products.php, we need to change the image. We need to make the image clickable. So to make the image clickable, we need to, here over the image, we need to add a tag. We need to surround the image with a tag. I'm going to say a tag, and then I'm going to close the a tag here after the image. And then I'm going to give this a tag href. I'm going to say href, and the href is going to be equal to PHP, and then echo, and then what we want to echo is that we want to echo the page that we want to go to, which is the single underscore product.php, and we need to pass a parameter. So I'm going to say dot, and then the parameter is that I'm going to pass is the product ID, product underscore ID, and we need to specify that here. We need to say question mark and then ID. So I'm gonna get to the single product.php, and the ID is equal to this product ID if I click on any of these products. Now we need to create this single product and receive the ID. So in the single product, we already have the single product. We need at the top of this page, we need to create a PHP code. I'm going to say PHP, and then we need to receive the ID. So we need to say if is set get ID. We want to get the ID. Remember, we have here the parameter is ID, therefore we need to say here get ID, and then we need to make a query, and to make a query we already have the code in the get products. We can't get the code from here. I'm going to copy the code from here, and then I'm going to paste it here, and at the top we need to first say connection, include connection .php, and here we need to say select all from products where ID is equal to question mark, and we need to pass this question mark. We need to replace this question mark with the product ID. So to do this, we need to create a variable here called ID. ID is equal to get ID, and now to replace this question mark with the ID, we have to say statement and then bind param I and then comma and then the ID. That way this function is gonna replace this question mark with this ID, and then we get the product, and we say here product, just product, not products, because here singular. Here we only get the product. Product is equal to this, but it's gonna be an array. This is gonna return an array of one single product. It's gonna return an array of one object. So product is equal to this. Finally, we need to do two things. First, we need to say else. Else, we need to head on over to the index. Else, I'm going to say header and then location index.php, because else means that the product ID is not provided. If the product ID is not provided, then we cannot display anything here in the single product. Therefore, we return to the home page and we obviously exit. Now we need to use this product to display the product. So I'm going to scroll all the way to here, and here we need to say for each PHP and then for each product as P, and then at the end here PHP, and then we close the curly bracket. And in between, what I'm going to do in between is that I'm going to display the product information. So I'm going to here remove this, and I'm going to say instead here PHP actually I should do this here. It's not above, it should be here. So I have a problem. Let me go back, let me remove all of this. Actually the row is not this one. Actually it's this one. Let me show you where it is. It's not this one. This is the header. I shouldn't be doing this here because this is the header, this is the section. So this is the section, so I have a problem. This is the section, so this is the product. So here I should say for each here PHP, and then actually here PHP, and then for each product as P, and then curly bracket, only one single curly bracket, and at the end here this one. Actually I think this one belongs to this. So here we need to say PHP, and then we close the curly bracket, and in between we need to say for the image we need to say PHP and then echo P, and then product image, product underscore image, and semicolon, and then we close the PHP. And then here we need also to say PHP and then echo product P, not product, P, and then product name, and then semicolon. For the description we need to do the same thing. PHP and then echo P and then description, product underscore description. And then for the price, again we need to say PHP and then P, price, product underscore price, semicolon, and then we close the PHP, and we are done. But before we test, we need to fix something very important here at the top. We need to say select all from products where product ID, product underscore ID, product underscore ID is equal to question mark, because in the database, if you open the database, you'll find that the field that stores the IDs is called product underscore ID. Therefore, here we must say select all from products where product underscore ID is equal to question mark. And also in the product.php, we need to center the image. So to center the image, we can here say text center. And let me now save and refresh. So now, as you can see, the images will be centered. And if I click on any image, it's going to take me to the single product page. For example, here, as you can see, it will display the product. But the price is not being displayed, so let me fix the price. Here, we have a problem with the price. So here I should say product price, product price. Let me say, I should say actually echo, I forgot to say echo here. Now if I refresh, it will display here the price. Now if I click on, for example, this, it will take me to the single product page and it will display the product information. Also we need some margin here. I'm gonna add some margin. I'm gonna say style margin bottom 10px. Now there will be some margin. Also in the products page, we need to add some margin. So I'm gonna say here style and then margin bottom 10px. And now if I refresh, as you can see, there will be some margin, which is amazing. So now both pages worked, and now the user will be able to check the single product page and also the product page. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on this button, this add to cart button, so that if user clicks on it, it adds the product to cart, it adds the meal to cart. So let me first show you where this button is. This button exists in the products page and also in the single product page. In the products page, you'll find that the button exists here. This is the button. This A tag represents the button. So this A tag creates this button. However, we need to create a form that will allow us to pass the data with us, because in order to add a product to cart, we need to know information about that product. For example, if you want to add this chicken cheeseburger to cart, we need to know its name, we need to know its ID, we need to know the image, we need to know description, the information about that meal, basically the information about that meal, so that we can add that meal to the cart. So now we need to create here a form. Like here, create a form. I'm going to say form, and then we need to give this form. We need to give we need to add the data inside this form and pass the data when the form is submitted. And to do this, we need to create hidden fields, because we don't want to display, we aren't interested in displaying the data. We just want to take the data with us. So I'm going to start by creating an input. I'm going to say here input, and I'm going to give this input. This input, I'm going to give it a type. The type will be hidden because we don't want to display it. We just want to store data in it. So the first input is type hidden. The ID, the name is going to be product underscore ID, and the name is going to be the value. The value is going to be PHP, and then echo, and then we want to echo the product ID. So we need to say product, and then product ID. Product, and then here product ID. Also, we want to take with us, the second thing that we want to take with us obviously is the product name. So we need to say input, and then the type is hidden, and then the name is product underscore name, value, again the value is PHP and then echo, and then we want to echo the product name. Product underscore name. The third input, let me copy this because we need to create this many times. The third input is going to be the price. We need to say here product price, and here I'm going to say product underscore price. We also want the special offer. We need to say here product underscore special underscore offer, and here product underscore special underscore offer. We also want the product image, so we need to say here product underscore image, and here product underscore image. The last field that we want is the quantity. We want to say here product quantity. However, the value is not going to be echo product quantity, because the quantity is in the database is not the quantity that represents the quantity that the user wants to buy. The quantity that the user wants to buy is the quantity that will be given by the user. And by default, we will allow customers to add one meal to cart, and then later they can increase that number of meals or meals later from the cart page. So by default, the value here will be 1. The value for the quantity will be 1. The last thing that we want to add to this form is this a tag. I'm going to copy this a tag, and then I'm going to remove it, and then I'm going to paste it inside the form. However, we need to change this a tag from a tag to button. We need to make this a button. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to say button. I'm going to say here, I'm going to actually surround it with a button. I'm going to say here button, and then inside I'm going to say here button. So the button should surround the a tag. So make sure that the button is inside the a tag. And then I'm going to give this button, you need to give this button a type. The type of this button is going to be submit. And I'm going to also give it a style. I'm going to say style. The style will be background none, and also border none. Let me save now. Let me refresh. By the way, we need to remove this href. I'm going to remove this href. And we are done. Let me save. Background none. Background none. The thing that we need to add to this form is we need to give it method and action. So the method will be post, and the action will be cart. The action will be cart.php, because this is the file that will handle this form. So make sure that the method is post and the action is cart.php, and again make sure that the button has a type submit, and make sure that the a tag here doesn't have href. The last thing that we need to give to this button is a name. It's important to give a name to this button, because by giving it a name, we will be able to determine whether user clicked on it to add a product to cart or not, which is very important. So here for this button, I'm going to say name, and then the name is going to be add underscore to underscore cart. So again, these things are important, because if one of them is missing, the cart will not work. The user will not be able to add anything to cart. So again, make sure that you have these. First, the method is post. Second, the action is cart.php. Third, the button type is submit. Fourth, the button name is add to cart. And of course, the hidden fields, these hidden fields, make sure that they exist, and make sure that the names are correct and also the values are correct. in order for this form to work successfully. So you make sure double check your syntax in order for this form to work successfully. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to activate the cart page. So in order to do this, first we need to change the cart from cart.html to cart.php. So I'm going to rename this cart. I'm going to rename this cart. I'm going to say cart.php. And then in the browser, now in the browser, if I go to / and then cart.php and then hit enter, as you can see, I'm going to get this cart page. And this product in the cart is just an HTML code. It's not a real product that has been added to cart. So this is just a hard-coded product. So this is the cart page, and this is how it's going to look like when we add products to cart. We want to get products that the user has added to cart using PHP. So to do this, what we want to do is that at the top here, we need to add a PHP code that would do this. So at the top, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say PHP, and then what we want to do is that we want to use the session in order to do this. So here we need to say session start. This is the first step. The first step is that we need to call a function called session start because we are going to be using the session. The second step is that we need to we need to make sure that the session has products. So we need to check whether the session is empty or not, and that can be done using the set function. So I'm going to say here if is set and then session, and then I'm going to store the products in a key called cart. So if this is set, it means that there is a product or products. So if this is set, it means that here it means that there is at least one product in the cart. So if there is at least one product, then we need to get that product from the session. So here, if user has already added something in the session, something in the cart. So at this point, what we want to do is that we want to get these products, the IDs of these products, and to do this, we need to use a function, a PHP function called array column, array_column, and then this array column takes two parameters. The first parameter is the array, which is the session, because the session will start products in a form of array. So this session cart will store products as an array. So it's going to be an array of products, and then inside it, and then the second parameter that the array column takes is the product ID, is the key that we want to use. So I'm gonna be using a key called product ID. This product ID represents the ID of each product. We created a table, the products table, and each product will have an ID and that the key of that ID is product ID. So that way, this array column function is going to return. This is going to return all of the IDs of the product that have been added to the cart. So I'm going to store this in a variable called products underscore array underscore IDs. So this is going to return an array of the IDs of the products. So for example, if the user added 3 products and each product has an ID, for example 55, 88, 90, this array column is going to return only these IDs. So why do we want these IDs? The reason why we want these IDs is because we want to use it in order to be able to check the which product has been added to the cart and which product has not been added to the cart. Because if user wants to add more products, we want to make sure that this product has not been added to the cart. So here we need to say if, and then we need to here use a function called in array, in underscore array, to check whether the product has been added to cart or not. So I'm going to negate this. I'm going to say if is not in the array, and then I'm going to pass two parameters. The first parameter is the post request, and then I'm going to say here product ID, product underscore ID, and then the second parameter is going to be the products array IDs. So let me explain. This if statement is going to check if product has already been added to cart or not. So if product has not been added to cart here, I'm saying here exclamation. Exclamation means not. So if that product ID is not among the products array IDs, is not among these IDs, then we need to add that product to cart. So here add product to cart. So here we need to add the product to cart. To add the product to cart, we need to get its ID first. So I'm going to say product underscore ID is going to be equal to post product ID, product underscore ID. So this is going to get us the product ID. And then we need to add this to the session. But before that, we need to get everything from that product, the information of that product, such as the product name, the product price, the product image. So I'm gonna here say product array. I'm gonna say product array is gonna be equal to an array, and this array will have the following key value pairs. First, it's going to have the product ID, and we already got the product ID. The product ID is the product ID, and then we need the product name, product name. Make sure that the spelling is correct. The product name, I'm going to get it again from the post request product name. We also need the product price, product price. We also need the product image, We also need the product special offer, product special offer, and then we need the product quantity. So the product quantity is always going to be 1 whenever a user adds a product to cart. We need to add only one item of that product. Product quantity is going to always be 1, and then the user can update this, increase this or decrease this, or remove the product from the cart. So we can say here product quantity, or we can simply say 0. Initially it can be 0, so it's up to you to do this or this. Let's get it from the post, and then we can initialize this from the post. We can initialize this in the post request 0. We can say 0. So I'm going to say product quantity, and that's it. Now the last step is that we need to add this product array, this product, which is a single array, into the big array, which is the session. To do this, we need to say session session cart, and then we need to use the product ID because we want to store it in a unique ID, which is the product ID. So we need here to say product ID, because we want to store each product we need to kind of pair or connect each product with, or associate each product with a unique ID, which is the product ID. So here I'm going to say is equal to product array. Product array. So let me explain this one more time. Here, if the product has not been added to the cart, then we get that product from the post request, and then we add it to the session. And the session will have this structure. The session is an array, and inside it we will have key value pairs, where each key represents the product ID. For example, 3 or 4. Let's say 4, and the value is the product itself, which is the product information. And it's also an array, so it's going to be an array like this. And then whenever we add a new product, we associate it with its ID. So for example, we say 55, the second product, and then we associate that ID with the product itself. And then we have the session, which represents the big array. So this is the session. Pretty simple. And then we say else. We need to say else here, in case the product has already been added to cart, we just need to say echo, and then we need to say here we need to echo script, JavaScript. We need to say script, and then script, and we just need to say here alert, and then product was already added to cart. Here product, let's use here double quotes, and here double quotes, and here I'm going to say product has already been added to cart. Pretty simple. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to continue working on the cart. So here, if the cart is not, if the cart is already set, it means that if there is something in the cart. However, suppose that this is the first time that the user is adding something to the cart. So here we need to say else. Else here, if this is the first product, if user is adding first product to cart, then all we need to do now, in case the user is adding the first product, all we need to do is that we need to get that product. The code is going to be the same as this. We just need to get that product and add it to cart without checking the session, because at this point the session has not been initialized, which means that the product surely is not in the cart, has not been added to cart. So all we need to do at this point is that we need to copy this part, and then paste it here in this else. So at this point, if the user is adding the first product to cart, we just need to get the product ID, and then we get the product info, and then we add all of them to the session. We add that product to the session. So this is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. And lastly, a very important thing that we need to do is that we need to add a post request, because whenever a user comes to this page, first we need to use the post request. At the top we can say if, and then is set, and then post, and then add underscore to cart, and then all we need to do now is to copy all of this code that we created, all of it. Let me copy all of it, all of this PHP code. Let me copy it, and then I'm gonna remove it, and then I'm gonna paste it inside this if statement, inside this add to cart. So this, let me paste it here now. This now is going to check first if user, let me push this first. This is going to be inside. So this is going to be inside the post request, because we need to make sure that the user has clicked on this button to add a product to cart using the post request. Pretty simple. So now you need to click on save all, and we are done with this part. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to display the products that we added to the session here. Product, we need to loop over the products and display them. So what I'm going to do is that here above this tr, above this tr, we need to use the session. So here I'm going to say PHP, and then I'm going to say here PHP, and then I'm going to first check if the session is set or not. So I'm going to say if session, if is set first, if is set session cart, and then curly bracket, and then in another line we need to create another PHP. We need to say PHP, and then if, and then for each we need to loop over the products. We need to say for each, and then session cart as key value, as key value, where the key is the product ID and the value is the product information. And here curly bracket, and then we need to close this PHP, and then below this tr we need to, below this tr, let me show you where it is, this tr, only this tr, we need to close two curly brackets, because we have if statement and we have for each. So we need to say here PHP, and then curly bracket, and then another PHP, and then curly bracket, and that's it. Now between we need to display the product info. So the first thing is the image. For the image we need to remove this static image, and then we need to say PHP, and then echo, and what we want to echo is that we want to echo first the assets / images / dot, and then we use the value, and then product image. Here, by the way, value and then product image. And then for the price we need to say here PHP, and then echo product, and then value product price, value, and then product price. And then after that we have also the product price, and then we have the quantity. So the quantity is going to be displayed inside the input here. I'm going to say PHP, and then here echo value product quantity, here product quantity. And then we have also the product price one more time, so we also need to display the product quantity one more time, so, the product price one more time. So here I'm going to say PHP, and then echo, and then value product price. We here also for this total we need to say if it's empty we don't need to display this number. So we after this total we need to say if, we need to say PHP, and then if is set, only if is set session, if the session is set session cart PHP, then we need to display this number, and I'm going to calculate the number later, but only if the session is set. Welcome back. Let's now test adding a product to cart. So first we need to head on over to products.php, and then we need to click on the cart. We need to click on the cart icon. This. Let me add this chicken cheeseburger to cart. I'm going to click on it, and as you can see the product has been added to cart. However, we have here a problem with the image, so let me check the problem. So with the image we need here to say assets / and then the name of the folder was images, so we need to say here images, and then / and then the name of the image. Let me refresh now, and as you can see it will display the image. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that the image size is going to be different from one person to another. Therefore, if your images are too big, it's going to be a problem. Therefore, you need to give a specific width and height. You need to say here, you need to specify here a width and height. So for me, I'm going to say 75 by 75. By far, 75 by 75 is the best for carts. For any products that you want to display in the cart, for any products images that you want to display in the cart, 75 by 75 is the best. It's the best. However, you can test by changing these numbers. You can change by changing the width and height, and try to find the numbers that work best for you. So there is no rule, but 75 by 75 is the best for me. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the remove button, so that if user clicks on remove, it removes the product from the cart. So let me head on over to the project to work on it. Here in the cart.php, we need to add, remember we have here if statement that's going to check whether the user added a product to cart or not. And here what we need to do is that we need to say else if, and then we need to check if the remove button has been clicked or not. So here I'm going to say else if, and then here in this else if we can start working on removing a product. So we need to learn we need to know where is the product, where is the remove button. So here is the remove button, this remove button. So this remove button, we need to give it action and method. So the action is going to be the same page. I'm going to say cart.php, and then we need a method. So the method is post request. We need to say post, and then what we want to do is that we want to give this input a name. I'm going to say name remove underscore btn. Now we can check whether this button clicked or not using if statement here. So here I'm going to say else if is set, and then post, if is set post remove underscore btn, then we need to remove that product from the cart. However, we need to know which product. Therefore, here in this form we need to pass the product ID, because only using the product ID we can remove a product. Therefore here I'm going to say input, and then I'm going to say hidden, and then I'm going to store the product ID here in this hidden field. I'm going to say value, so the value is going to be PHP, and then I'm going to say echo, and then what I'm going to echo is that I'm going to echo the value, which is the product, and then we need the product ID. So we need to say product. Here we need to access the product ID. So the product ID will be stored in this field, and we need to give this field a name as well. We need to say here name is equal to product underscore ID. Now here in the if statement we can access that product ID and we can remove it from the session. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to first access the product ID. I'm going to say product ID is equal to post and then product ID. And then what we need to do is that we need to use this ID to remove the product from the cart. And to remove a product from the cart, we need to use the onset method. Onset, and then we pass the session, and then in that session we want to access the cart, and then we want to access that specific product. So we need to access the product ID. So this line of code would remove that product from the cart. Pretty simple. And that's it. We just return to the same page. So we just here display the same content. Nothing else we need to do. And else, we need to say here else and keep it empty for now. Pretty simple. Let's now test. Let me here click on File and then Save All. And let's. So let me now test. In order to test, we need to refresh the cart page so that the code takes effect. So I'm going to refresh the cart, and then I'm going to click on Remove. Let me click on Remove, and boom, the product has been removed from the cart. So it works successfully, and now your customers will be able to remove products from their carts. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on editing the number or increasing or decreasing the number of products that the user wants to buy. For example, if the user wants to buy 2 meals, then they would click on this plus and then click on edit to edit the quantity. Also, if they want to decrease, if they changed their mind again and they want to decrease the quantity, they will be able to do so. So let me head on over to the project to work on it. To work on this, we need to add another else if. So we need here to say, else if, and then here we need to say is set, and then post, and then edit button, or edit, let's say edit quantity button, and we need to work on that button. Remember here for that edit button we have here we have this edit button. So for this edit button, first we need to give it a name. We need to say name, and the name is going to be edit underscore quantity underscore btn. And the form, this form, we need to give it two things. We need to give it method and action. The method is post. The action is the same page, which is cart.php. However, we need to pass with us again we need to pass with us the product ID. So I'm going to here say input hidden, and then name is product ID, name product underscore ID, and value. The value is the product ID, which is PHP echo, and then we echo the value product ID, product ID. And we need also to pass with us the quantity. To do this, we need here for this number, we need to give it also a name. We need to say here name, and the name is going to be equal to product underscore quantity, and the value is the value. We need to work on the logic. So here, remember, we have this else if. In this else if, the first thing that we need to do is that we need to access the product ID. So I'm going to say here product ID is equal to post product ID, and then what we want to do is that we want to get also the product quantity. So I'm going to say product quantity, which is obviously going to be equal to post product quantity, and then we just need to we just want to access the product from the session. So we need to say here session, we need to get the product from the session, and to get the product from the session we need to say session cart and then we need to get that specific product. So I'm going to say here product, I'm going to say session cart, and then I'm going to access that product using its ID, which is the product ID. And then I'm going to store it in a variable called product. So this is the product that we want to update. Product is equal to cart product ID. This is going to return the product from the cart. Now, what we want to do is that we want to access the quantity field. Remember, this product is an array with key value pairs, where each key represents something. Each key could represents product name. We have the product name, for example. We have the product name, and then here the name. For example, table. We have also the product quantity, which is a number, for example 6. So we need to access this product quantity. We need to access the product quantity of that array. So to do this, we need to say here product, and then product quantity, and then we need to update that product quantity. So to update that product quantity, we store the new quantity, which is the product quantity that we got from the user. So I'm going to say here product quantity. So again, let me explain this. We get the product ID, we get the product quantity, we access the product that has been stored in the session, and then we access the quantity, the old quantity, and then we store the new quantity into the old one. So the old one will be removed, and the new one will be stored in place of the old one. And finally, we put the product back into the session. So we say session cart product ID product. That's it. We are now good to go. So let me now test. In order to test, we need to first refresh the cart. I'm going to refresh, and then I'm going to click on plus here. I'm going to click on this arrow to increase the quantity, and then I'm going to click on edit, and as you can see, the quantity will be 2. And if you refresh the cart, the quantity will remain 2 because I increased the quantity. If I click on minus, if I click on this downward arrow, and then if I click on edit, it will decrease the quantity. And now if I refresh, it will keep the quantity 1. So now the user will be able to edit the quantity. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the subtotal and the total. So we need to calculate the subtotal, and we also need to calculate the correct total. So if the subtotal, for example, is 29, then the total will be 199. If the subtotal, if you have different products, we need to add the subtotals up. For example, if I go back to the cart, if I go back to the products, which is the menu page, and if I add another meal, for example, if I add this meal, and then if I check this, I will find that the total is 199. However, the correct total should be around 50, actually 60, because 30 here, almost 30, plus 35 here, I should get 30. I should get around 65 or even 67, 66 or 66 actually. So the total shouldn't be 199. So we need to calculate the correct total. Let me head on over to the project to work on it. Here, multiply here, we can do the multiplication here. So remember here in the for each loop, we have here this. So we have this product price. We can here multiply the product price, multiply by value, and then product quantity. Need to create a function that would do all of this. So what I'm gonna do is that here, whenever we add something to the cart, whether it's the first product or or whether it's a new product, then after that, we always need to update or increase or calculate, I should say, calculate total cart. We always need to do this whenever we update, whenever we add something to the cart. So whenever we add something to the cart, we need to do this. So here we need to call this function, and also here whenever we remove something from the cart, after we remove, we need to calculate total cart. And here also whenever we update the cart, we need here to calculate total cart. So we need now to create a function that would do this. Let me here create a new function. I'm going to say function, and then I'm going to say calculate total cart. Calculate total cart. So to calculate the total cart, we need to access all of the products and get all of the prices and all of the quantities and add them up. So we need to add them up, and to do this, we need to access the session first. I'm going to access the session. I'm going to first say here, before this, we actually need to say total price. Total price is equal to 0, and also the total quantity. Total quantity is equal to 0. And then we need to loop over all of the products. And to do this, we need to say the for each loop. For each, and then we access the session cart, and then we get each single product. So I'm going to say session cart as key value, where the key is the product ID and the value is the product itself. So we access the key value. If you don't want to say key value, you can say ID product, because the key is the ID and the value is the product. And now we need to access each single product. So I'm going to say product, and each single product is going to be equal to session cart ID. This is the product. Once we get the product, we need to get its price. So we need to get the price. The price is going to be equal to the product price. And we also need to access the quantity. So the quantity is going to be equal to product quantity. And then we now multiply the price by the quantity and then add everything up. So we need to say total now. The total price is going to be equal to the old total price, which is initially going to be 0, plus the price multiplied by the quantity. So this is the total price. The total quantity is the total quantity is going to be equal to the all total quantity plus the quantity plus the new quantity. So after we do all of this, we store this in the session. So we can here say after the for each, we can create a new key in the session. We can say session, and then the key is going to be total, and the total is going to be equal to total price. And we create another key for the quantity if you want to use it. I'm going to say quantity. The quantity is going to be equal to the total quantity. And to do this, we need to call this function every time we update the session. So every time we add something to the session, for example here, we need to call the calculate total cart, and also here, whenever we remove something from the cart, we need to calculate the total. And also here, whenever we whenever we edit the quantity of a specific product, we need to calculate the total cart. Finally, we need here to display at the bottom. Remember, we have here this code. This code is first gonna check whether the cart is empty or not. If the cart is not empty, which means that if there is something in the cart, then we need to display here, we need to say PHP, and then echo, and then we echo the $sign first, and then dot, and then we echo the session total. Session total, which is the total price. So let me now test. In order to test, we need to go back and add another product to cart, because in order to test, we have to add another product in order to call the calculate function, because the calculate function will calculate the total. So let me add this to cart, and now the total is 105, and that's correct because the first product costs $29.99, the second product $35.99, and the third product costs $39.99. If you add these up, you will get 105.97, and that's correct. So now you will be able to calculate the total of the cart. Welcome back. Let's now test increasing and decreasing the quantity of meals. So if I click on plus here, as you can see, the quantity will be 2, and the subtotal now is $59.98, because one meal would cost $29.99 and 2 meals would cost $59.98, and the total is $59.98. If I click on plus one more time, it will increase this further. However, if I click on minus, it will decrease the quantity. And if I click on minus, it will decrease the quantity again and recalculate the total and the subtotal. And also, if I click on minus one more time, it will remove the products from the cart because the total would be 0. And if the total is 0, if the quantity is 0, it means that there is nothing in the cart. And if there is nothing in the cart, then we need to remove the product from the cart. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on this checkout button so that if the user clicks on it, it takes them to the checkout form where they will be able to fill out the form and place a new order. So let me head on over to the project to work on it. So now in the project, the first step is that we need to change this checkout.html from HTML to PHP. So I'm going to rename this file. I'm going to rename this from checkout.html to checkout.php. And then I'm going to hit enter. And then the next step is that we need to activate the form that would take the user to the checkout.php, and that is in the cart.php. So in the cart.php, at the bottom you should find here this form. We have this form. So we need to activate this form. To activate this form, we need to give it a method and action. So I'm going to say method. The method is going to be get, and the action. The action is obviously the checkout.php. So I'm going to say checkout.php. And here the button should have here input, type submit, class button. Everything is fine here. Name, let's say checkout. Checkout_btn. And that's it. Now we are done with this part. The second thing that we need to do is that we need to open the checkout. So in the checkout at the very top, before we echo any code or anything, we need to add here a code that would protect the page from users who would try to come to this page without adding something to cart. So the user should only be allowed to come to this page only if they have something in the cart. And to do this, we need to add here PHP code. I'm going to say PHP, and then I'm going to say session start. We need to start the session first. Session start, and then we need to say here if, and then if is set, and then session cart, If not, I'm gonna say here not if the session is not set, or or if the session is empty. If empty session cart, session cart, then at this point what we need to do is that we need to say header and then location and then index.php. So let me explain this code. This code is simply going to check whether the cart has been initiated. If there's something in the cart, then this code will not be executed and the user will be able to see this page. But if the cart is not set, or if the cart is set but it's empty, if user added something there to cart but removed it later, then we shouldn't allow them to see this page. Pretty simple. So this is what this code is going to do. It's going to protect this page. So let me save now everything. Let me save all. Let me test. So let me now test. In order to test, we need to first refresh the cart page. I'm going to refresh the cart by clicking on this to refresh the cart. And then I'm going to click on the checkout. Let me click on checkout. If I click on checkout, as you can see, it's going to take me to the checkout form where it will display this form. We have the name, email, phone, city, address. So this is the form. And the good news about the form is that it will only be displayed if in case there is something in the cart. However, if there is nothing in the cart, it will not display the form. For example, if I go back to the cart page, and in the cart, if I remove everything from the cart, let me show you what's going to happen. So if I remove everything from the cart, if I remove this from the cart, as you can see, if I click on checkout, it's not going to take me to the checkout. It's going to take me to the home page because there is nothing to check out. There is nothing to buy. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the checkout form. So if the user fills out this form and clicks on checkout, we take the data and store the data in the database and make a new order. So let me head on over to the project to work on this and show you the form first. Let me show you the form. The checkout, you will find that we have here a form. In the checkout, you will find that we have a form here. We have this form. As you can see, we have this form, and this form has here name, email, phone, city, address, and we need to activate this form and make a new script that would allow the user to insert the data and make a new order. We need to open up the checkout.php and then we need to activate this form. Remember, we have this form. Let's here give this form action and the method. So I'm going to say action. The action is going to be a file called place_order.php, and the method is going to be post request. And then we need to give these inputs names and make sure that everything is perfect. So here for the first input we need to make sure that it has a name. The second one is email. The third one is phone. The fourth one is city, and the last one is address. And the button also check out btn. So let's now create a new file called place order. So I'm going to create a file called place_order.php. And in this place_order.php, what we want to do is that we want first to include the connection. We need to say connection. We need to say include connection, include, and then connection.php. And we also need the session. We need to say session start. And then what we want to do is that we need to say if the is set post checkout button check out btn, then we want to get the data from the form and place the order. So what we want to get is that we want to get the name, the email, the phone, the city, and the address. So we want here to say first we need the name. I'm going to say name is equal to post name, and then we want the email. I'm going to say name, and then email is equal to post email, and then we want the font. We want font post font, and then we want the city for post city, and then we want the address, and then after we get all of these, we want to place the order in the database. So we need to insert all of these in the database. Let me head on over to the PHP My Admin and open up the orders. As you can see, this is the orders table. So the orders table will have the order ID, the cost, the status, the name, the phone, the city, and the address, and the order date. So we need to insert these, and to insert these, we need to use MySQL here. I'm going to say con, and then prepare, and then what we want to insert is that we need to say insert into, and then the name of the table is orders, and then what we want to insert is that we want to insert the cost. Of course, the ID will be created by the database. You shouldn't be creating an ID. The ID is automatically created by the database. So we need to start by inserting the cost. So I'm going to say order cost, and then order status, and then username, phone, city. So we need to say user underscore name, and then user underscore email, and then user underscore phone, and then user underscore city, and then user underscore address, and then date, order date, and then order underscore date. So make sure that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have a problem here. We have username, email, phone, city, and address. So here phone, name, phone, city, address. We just need to insert the email. So I'm gonna here say I'm gonna click here on one column, and then I'm gonna say after the name, and then I'm gonna click on go, and then I'm gonna create a new field for the email. I'm gonna say user email, and then I'm gonna say text, and then I'm gonna click on save. So we will have a new field for the email. So we need to get the order cost. The order cost is the total amount, and that can be fetched from the session. So we need to say order cost. Order cost is going to be equal. Order cost is going to be equal to the session total. So the total stores the total amount of money that the user is going to pay for all products, the total cart. And then the order status. The order status will always be order status. The order status will always be not paid, because at this point the user would just place an order but would pay later. So the user would first place an order and then pay. So the order status will be initially not paid, and then after the user pays, we can change this to paid. So initially it's going to be not paid, and then we have everything. We have the order status and everything. The last thing is the order date. We need to say here order date. The order date is going to be equal to date, and then we can use this date, and then we can use any format you want. You can use the year, you can use the For example, if you want to use the year, you can here say year, and then month, and then day. And this is going to insert the year, month, day. If you want the month and day, only the month and day, you can say MD, month and day. So I'm going to say year, month, day. And that's it. Let me now, after this, we need to continue. So after this, we need to store this in a variable called statement. And then we need to append all of these. So we need to append all of these by using here, by saying values. Here we need to say values, and then question marks. So how many question marks we want? We want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need here to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we need to append these values. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say statement. Here I'm going to say statement, and then bind param. And then what we want to bind is that we want to bind the order cost, which is let's say the order cost is going to be the order cost. Let's say I for order cost, and then after the cost we want the order status. The order status is S. I stands for integer, S stands for string. So here I and then S, and then the user name is S, and then the user email S, the user phone is I, the user city is S, the address is S, and the date is S. And then after that, we want to insert these values. So I'm going to start with the order cost, and then order status, and then username, which is name, just name, and then email, and then phone, and then name, email, phone, and then city, and then address, and then date. And finally, we need to execute this. So we need to execute this. We need to say statement, and then execute. So now we are done with the first part, which is inserting the order into the database. So we just need to save, and we will continue with the second part. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to get the products that the user bought and insert them into the order items table. So we need here to say if the statement if the execution was successful here, if we inserted this order into the database, then we need to continue. Else, if we say here not, if the execution failed, then we need to take the user to the home page. We need to say header, and then location index.php, and we need to exit. So if the execution, if there is something wrong, we need to exit this page, and we need to take the user to the home page, to the index page, which is the home page. Then after this, we need to get the order ID, because if this has been inserted successfully, the database here would issue an ID for that order. So we need to get that order ID. So we need here to say order ID, and that order ID is going to be equal to statement, and then insert ID. This is going to return the ID of that order. So now we have the order ID. Now we can use this order ID to insert the data into the other table, which is the order items, which is this order items. So now we want to get the products, and to get the products we need to use the session. Remember, we have the session and we need to loop over the session and get each single product. So I'm going to say for each session cart as ID product as key value pair, and then we get each single product from the session, and then we insert it into the database. So we need to get first the product ID, the product name, the product quantity, all of these. So I'm going to say product is equal to session cart, and then we access that that product using its ID. So after we get that product, we need to access the product ID. We need to say product ID is equal to product ID, and then we repeat the same thing to access every single thing that this product and each product has. So each product has a product name and product image, all of these things. I'm going to say here product name, and then product image, product image, and then product price, product price, and then quantity, product quantity, and then product quantity, and make sure that the spelling is correct. After this, we need to insert each single product that has been stored in the session into the order items. So the order items would contain all items that the user added to the cart. So here I'm going to say statement 1 is equal to con, and then prepare, and then insert into what? We need to insert into order items, and then let me show you what we want to insert. I'm going to click on structure. So what we want to insert is that we want to insert the product, the order ID, the product ID, name, image, price, all of these things. So we need to insert these things. We need to insert these things. Let's start now. Here we need to say order items, and then we need to insert. First, I'm going to start with the order ID. We need to say order underscore ID, and then the product ID, and then the after the product ID, we need to insert the I think, let me check the database, the product name. We need to insert the product name. So I'm going to insert next the product name, and then after the product name, we need to insert the image, price, quantity, product image, and then product price, product quantity, and then product quantity, and then username and order date. User name, and then order date. And then values, we need to say here values, and then question marks. So how many question marks? We need first here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We need to insert 8 question mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we need to execute this. So I'm going to say here statement 1, and then bind, and then what we want to bind is that we want to bind I for the order ID, and then the product ID also I, and then the product name is S string, the image S, the price I, the quantity I, the name S, and the date S. So we need here to insert first the order date, order ID first, and then product ID, and then product name, and then product image, product name, product image, product name, image, price, product price, product quantity, and then order date. And make sure that they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So something is missing, which is the user name. So here user underscore name, actually just name, because we don't have a variable called username, it's name. Also here it's name, not username, name, and here name. So we are good to go here. The last thing that we need to do with this query is that we need to execute this query. We need to say statement 1 and then execute. We need to execute this query statement and then execute. And now we are done with the second part, which is this part. Let me here type. I comment. I'm going to say get all products from cart and insert them into database. That's it. Now click on file and then save all. So now what we need to do is that here, after we place the order and everything here, what we need to do is that we need to take the user to the payment page. So after we do this step, we need to store order ID in session, and then we need to take the user to the payment page. So here I'm going to say session, and then I'm going to store the order ID in a session key called order underscore ID. So order ID is going to be equal to order ID, because by using the order ID we will be able to know whether the user has successfully placed the order or not. And here we just take user to payment page. So we need to say here header, and then location, and then payment.php. That's it. Now let me save, and above the checkout button, here this checkout button, we need to display the correct number. So here we need to say PHP and then echo, and then what we want to echo is that we want to echo the session session, and then total, and that's it, just total. And before that we need to display the $sign. I'm gonna say here echo $sign dot, and then session total. And at the top we have the session, so we just need to save now and test. Welcome back. Now in the place order.php we need to fix something very important. The order here, the order cost, we said that the order cost is I, and actually if you say I, it will ignore the number after the point. For example, if the order cost was 199.99, it will only insert 199 and it will ignore the number after the point. Therefore, we need to change this. We need to change the order ID from I to S. We need to remove this S, and then we need to remove this I, and then we need to say S. So make sure that here it says S, and then here the first parameter is the order cost. So that way, if we say S, we will insert the complete number into the database. It will take the complete number and it will take the number after the point into account, and it will insert the complete number into the database. Similarly, here if you scroll, you'll find that we have also here the product price. Here the product price, we said that it's I. If we say I, it will ignore the number after the point. For example, if the product price was $39.99, it will only insert 39 and it will ignore the 99, the 0.99. Therefore, we need to say, instead of I, we need to say S. We need to remove this I, and then we need to say S. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth should be S. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the fifth here in this query, the fifth must be S, so that we insert a complete number into the database rather than inserting only the number and ignoring the number after the point. So make sure that here the product price is S, and also at the top here make sure that the order cost is S. That way we will be able to insert a complete number into the database. Welcome back. Let's now test making a new order. So I have added these two sandwiches or meals to cart, and I'm gonna check out. I'm gonna click on checkout, and the total is 69. Let me click on checkout, and then let me fill out the form. So I'm gonna fill out this form, and the good news about this form is that the user will not be able to check out unless they fill out the form completely. For example, if you forget one of these fields, if you leave one of these fields empty, it's not gonna work. If I click on checkout, it's gonna tell me please fill out this field, because this field is empty. So the user will have to fill out the complete form before checking out, which is important, because as the owner you need to get information in order to contact the customer and in order to deliver the meals to your customer. Let me click on checkout, and if you click on checkout you will get this error, but don't worry about this error, because this error is because we did not create the payment page yet. But for now, what we need to take care of and what we need to check is that we need to check the database. So let's check whether data has been inserted into the database or not. So let me head on over to the database. I'm going to go to localhost, and then localhost /php my admin in order to access the database. And let me check the database. I'm going to check the database. I'm going to check basically the orders table. So in the orders table, we should have a new order now. Here I have so many orders because I have been testing. But for you, you might not have any orders. You might have only one order because this is the first time you made an order. Let me now check everything. I'm going to check the last order. So the last order is order number 44, and the total is $69.98. That's correct, because the total was $69.98. Not paid is the status, because obviously there is no way, there was no way to pay yet, at least yet. My name, my email, phone number, city, and address, and the date as well. Let's also check the order items. I'm gonna click on order items. Let's check the items that I bought. So I'm gonna display everything. So order number 44, remember order number 44. Order number 40, actually order number 40, yes, order number 44. Order number 44, we have this chicken cheeseburger. And we also have order number 44, we have, let me check what else I bought. I bought two things. I bought this one, the burger, chicken cheeseburger, and also the Big Mac here, order number 44, and this is order number 44. So I bought Big Mac and I bought chicken cheeseburger, and both belong to the same order. Therefore, both will be here will have the same ID, order ID. The cost is $29.99 for the first one. For the second one is to $39.99. And the total is, I bought one meal and one meal each, so the total is 69. So this is how we can insert data into the database, and this is how we can make a new order. And again, notice that both have the same exact order ID. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to do what's called refactoring. Refactoring is important because we don't want to repeat ourselves. There is some code here that we should not repeat. So that code is the header and the footer. So if you open the index.php, you will find that from the beginning of the page all the way to the end of the header, this code is repeated in different pages. So instead of repeating this code over and over and over again whenever we create a new file, we can add that code in a separate file, and then we can import it using PHP. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy from the beginning all the way to the end of the header. So I'm going to copy all of this. I'm going to copy all of this code all the way to the end of the header. I'm going to here copy this. And then I'm going to remove this code. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say here PHP and then include and then header.php. However, we don't have this file yet. So here we need to create a new file. I'm going to click here on this icon to create a new file, and I'm going to name it header.php, and then I'm going to paste the code. So the code that I copied, I'm going to paste here. Similarly with the footer, here if you go back to the index, you'll find that here we have this footer. We have from here. From here, I'm going to copy all the way to the end of the file. I'm going to copy all of this. Let me copy this again. I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to remove it. And then I'm going to say here PHP and then include and then footer.php. And then we need to create this footer.php. So I'm going to create a new file here called footer.php. And then I'm going to paste the code here in the footer. And we are done. Now, let me save everything. Now, what we need to do is that we need to repeat the same exact steps in other pages. For example, we have the products. If you open the products, we need to do the same thing. We need to remove the header, which is from here all the way to the end of the header, which is this code, and then we need to say PHP and then include and then header.php. And for the footer, we need to do the same thing. We need to scroll to the end, and then we need to remove the footer, which is this part. And then we need to say PHP include footer.php. And we also have other pages such as the cart, if you open the cart, you'll find the same thing. We need to do the same thing. But for the cart, here, if you scroll, you'll find that we have this part. We start in the cart, we start from here. We start from here. So we need to remove this, only this. Not everything, only from here. Only from here all the way to the end of the header, which is this. Which is this. And then we need to say PHP and then include and then header.php. And for the footer we need to do the same thing. We need to say here footer.php, PHP, and then include footer.php. Finally, we have another page called checkout. We need to do the same thing for this page. I already have done this, so you need to do this. You need to include the header and the footer at the header at the top and the footer at the bottom. And you might be wondering now, why am I doing this? The reason is because this process will eliminate any uh, uh, repetition of our code. So you will not need to repeat yourself. You already have the header and the footer, and whenever you want them, whenever you want the header or the footer, you can simply include them as I have shown you using include rather than creating the header every single time you create a new page. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to create a new page called payment.php so that we can take the user to that page. So I'm going to create a new page here called payment.php. And then in this page, in the payment.php, first we need to get the code from the let's say from the checkout. So from the checkout, I'm going to copy the complete code, and then I'm going to paste it in the payment. And then now in the payment, we need to do the following. First, we need to remove this part at the top. We don't need this. We don't need this code. So I'm going to remove this code. We don't need this code. We need the header, and then we need this part. And then here I'm going to say payment, and instead of checkout, I'm going to say payment. Payment. And then we don't need here, we need to say, let's say payment. And then we need to remove this part. With this form, I'm going to remove this form. This form, I'm going to remove this form. So I'm going to remove this and this. So we should have only this code. So we should have only this code, and here we should display the amount as well as the payment button. So here, just for now, I'm going to display a hard-coded amount. I'm going to say here total, and then like this, and then let's say button. Just for now, I'm going to say button, pay now, and then I'm going to change this shortly. Enter this code. We need to say here dev. We need to say dev, and then inside that dev, first we need to give this dev a class, and that class is going to be mxauto, and also container, and also text center. These three are bootstrap classes. And then I'm going to copy this code, and then I'm going to paste it inside. Work on this later. We need to work on this later, so I'm going to remove this from now. For now, I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to push this inside, and that's it. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that in the payment button, in the payment page, before we display the payment button, we need to check whether the user has an order or not, because if user doesn't have an order, we should display you don't have an order so that the user knows that they don't have an order. So to do this, we can remember if you go back to the place order, you will find that in the place order you'll find that we have in the session the order ID, and we can use this to check whether the user has placed an order or not. So here I'm gonna say PHP, and then I'm gonna say if session if is set session order ID and session order ID is not equal to nothing or is not equal to 0, you can say nothing or 0, then we need to display the button. Here we need to display the button. Here we need to display the button. Else we need to say again PHP. Here, by the way, we need to say curly bracket, only one single curly bracket. And then here we need to say curly bracket and then else, and then curly bracket, and then here we need to close the curly bracket. And we need to say else you don't have an order. So here you can say you don't have an order. So let me explain this. If the order ID is in the session, is set in the session, and it's not empty, it means that there is an order. Then the user here, we need to display the button here. Else we need to display this, but of course we need to use a paragraph instead of saying this. We need to say P paragraph, and then inside that paragraph we need to say you don't have an order. However, this is not enough, because if the user placed an order and removed everything from the cart, this will also be displayed, and we don't need this. Instead, we need also to check the total. So we need to say and is set session total if there is items, or if there are so many items, or even if there is only one single item in the cart and it has a number that is greater than 0. So we need to say and session total is not equal to 0 if there is if these items that are in the cart cost more than 0. Of course they will. If there is something in the cart, then we need to display the button. So here, let me add this in a new line. So we need to check whether the order ID has been inserted in the session, which means that the user has placed an order. And here we should also say session order ID is not equal to nothing or 0. Is not equal to nothing or 0. You can say 0 here, because the order ID is going to be a number anyways, and obviously it's not going to be 0. It must be a number, and the database is going to issue that number, and that number can be and is going to be a number other than 0. And if the session total is not if the session total is set and it's not equal to 0, then here we need to display the button, and we need also to display the total. So here I'm going to say P, and then I'm going to say total, and then PHP, and then I'm going to say echo, and then I'm going to echo the $sign, and then I'm going to append to it the total. I'm going to say session total. Let me now save, and let's head on over to the browser to test. Welcome back. Let's now test the payment page. So in order to test the payment page, we need to add something to our cart. So I'm going to go to the products.php. And in the products.php, let's add a meal. For example, I'm going to buy this meal. I'm going to click on this icon, and then it's going to take me to the cart page, to your cart. And now let me click on checkout. And then let me fill out this form. I'm going to fill out this form. And then I'm going to click on the checkout button. So I'm going to click here on the checkout button and see what's going to happen. So if I click on the checkout button, it's going to take me to the payment page. As you can see here, we have the payment page. So as you can see here in the payment page, it's going to display this total, because I added one meal and the cost of that meal is $39.99. So it's working. Now it's working. Let's now integrate a payment system into our project. And to do this, we need to select a payment system. And I'm going to be using PayPal because PayPal is one of the best payment options out there. And I think it's going to be just amazing and it's going to help us a lot. And I think it's just one of the best options, and I'm going to be selecting PayPal. So in order to start integrating PayPal, the process, first of all, you need to know that the process is pretty long. And I'm going to be dividing the process into a small and few steps, short steps, so that you understand. So the first step is that you need to create a PayPal account. You need to head on over to paypal.com and then create an account. However, you need to create a business account, not a personal account. So just head on over to paypal.com and then click on sign up. And then after you click on sign up, you need to select business account, not personal account. You need to select business account. And then click on next. And if you don't find this option, by the way, you need to convert your account. After you create a personal account, you need to convert the account to a business account from your account after registration if you don't find this option. But you will find this option for many countries. So here what you need to do is that you need to type your email and that's it. Pretty simple. Just type your email and then of course you need to verify your email and that's it. So the process is very simple and straightforward. I'm not gonna continue because I already have a PayPal account. So here all you need to do is that you need to type your email and then click on continue and just fill out the next form that you are gonna get, because the form will need to be filled, and then just confirm your email. So that's it, and of course you need to verify your email. So after you have done all of this and after you have finished registering, you need to head on over to developer.paypal.com. Again, that's developer.paypal.com. This is the URL that we need to use in order to be able to integrate PayPal into our project. So you need again to head on over to developer.paypal.com and then click on log in to dashboard. And then you need to type the email and the password that you have just created with PayPal, the business account here. So let me type my business account here. So after you type your email, you just need to click on next. And then you need to type your password here. And then you need to click on login.